Tonight, I will tell you about the fire that never went out. Long before your fathers were born, long before strangers crossed our rivers with ships, there stood a beautiful village hidden between great forests and wide grasslands. Its people were farmers, hunters, blacksmiths, potters, and storytellers. No one in the village was rich. No one was poor, for every harvest was shared. Every child belonged to every mother. Every elder belonged to every family. When one hut was built, the whole village carried the wood. When one child laughed, the whole village smiled. When one family mourned, the whole village cried. The elders often said, "A village is strongest when every heartbeat sounds like one drum." At the very center of the village burned a great fire. Not a small cooking fire, not a hunter's fire, a great fire. It burned day and night, season after season, generation after generation. No one remembered who first lit it, but everyone knew its purpose. Every evening, as the sun disappeared behind the hills, every family walked to the village square carrying a small clay pot. Inside each pot rested dry grass and charcoal. One by one, they knelt beside the great fire. They took a single glowing ember home. That ember lit their cooking fires. It warmed their homes. It gathered families together for supper. And before returning home, every person greeted one another. Children played together. Women exchanged stories. Hunters shared news from the forest. Farmers spoke of the coming rains. The blacksmith laughed louder than anyone else. The village square was filled with voices until the stars covered the sky. I asked my grandfather once, why didn't each family simply keep its own fire? He smiled. Because, my child, the journey was never about the fire. It was about meeting one another. Years passed. The village prospered. The harvests became larger. The houses became stronger. People became busier. Then one season, a clever young trader returned from a distant kingdom carrying strange clay lamps. He stood proudly in the marketplace. "Why walk to the village fire every evening?" he asked. "Take this lamp instead. Keep your own flame burning forever. You will save time." The people admired the idea. Soon every family bought a lamp. No one needed to visit the great fire anymore. The village square slowly became empty. At first, nothing seemed different. The cooking fires still burned. Children still laughed. The harvest still came. The people believed nothing had changed. But my grandfather would always pause here. Then he would quietly say, "The deepest cracks begin where no one is looking." As moons passed, neighbors stopped greeting one another. Children no longer played together every evening. The hunters no longer shared warnings about dangerous animals. The farmers stopped helping one another during harvest. One family celebrated alone. Another mourned alone. When sickness entered a home, sometimes no one knew until many days had passed. The village still had many fires, but somehow it felt colder. One evening, the oldest woman in the village slowly walked to the empty square. She looked at the great fire. It still burned brightly. Yet no one had come. No laughter, no stories, no songs, only silence. A single tear rolled down her face. She whispered, "The fire is alive, but the village is dying." Not long afterward, disaster came. A terrible storm swept across the land. Lightning struck the hills. Strong winds tore through the village. Roof after roof collapsed. Many private fires were extinguished. The clay lamps shattered upon the ground. Families rushed outside carrying children in their arms. For the first time in many seasons, they looked toward the village square. Great fire still burned, untouched by the storm. One by one, the people returned, just as their ancestors had done. They carried empty pots, not with pride, not with wealth, but with humility. The old woman stood beside the fire. She smiled gently. "Welcome home." No one spoke. They simply embraced one another. Some wept, others laughed. Children who had become strangers played together once more. Hunters shared food. Farmers shared seeds. Blacksmiths repaired broken tools without asking for payment. That night, every family carried home not only fire, but friendship. The next evening, they returned again, not because they needed the fire, but because they needed one another. The village square filled with stories. The drums returned. Songs rose into the night. The children chased one another around the great flame. The elders smiled. The fire seemed brighter than it had in many years. That was when my grandfather finally explained the secret. The fire was never the miracle. The people were. The flame only reminded them that no home shines brightest when it burns alone. The world will always offer you easier roads, roads that require fewer visits, fewer conversations, fewer moments shared together. But never choose convenience if it costs you your community. Remember this African proverb: a single ember may warm one hand, but a shared fire warms an entire village. Guard your friendships, visit your neighbors, share your stories, for a village does not disappear when its houses fall. It disappears when its people stop gathering. The fire before us still burns tonight. May it remind you that the brightest flame is not the one that burns alone, but the one that brings everyone home. And if the fire still burns tomorrow night, I will tell you another story.